Hey everyone, my name is Lindsay. Welcome to Love Them Well. I'm a 7th grade English teacher, and among other things, I teach other subjects too, but English is really dear to my heart. I love to read, I love to write, and I love to go hear authors speak. So Max Greenfield was in St. Louis last night, and my husband and a couple of our friends went to go hear him speak. If you don't know who that is, he's Schmidt in New Girl, which is one of my favorite shows. I love Jess. He has written 3 books before this one, but this one is called Good Night Thoughts. And it's so sweet. The illustrations are amazing. And this book is about quieting your thoughts before bed. And what I love about it is this is beautiful, not just for kids, but also for adults. So I love picture books. I think that they are meaningful for all ages, and I don't think that we should stop reading them when we're adults. It helps when you have kids because you have a bigger excuse to get a picture book and read it, but I really think that this could help anyone through their thoughts. One of my favorite things about it is at the end, it's not a spoiler, I mean, it's gonna end well. He is talking about how he's not being eaten by a robot shark. His toilet is not overflowing with tarantulas, and there isn't a dentist in sight. As far as I can tell, the world hasn't popped into a piece of popcorn. My best friend is still here, and I'm not falling from a cloud. These were all the fears that he talks about in the book. Right now, everything is okay. And so am I. I don't know how many times I have to tell myself that throughout the day or the week. Everything's okay right now. And I'm okay, and I'm safe. And so I love this, and it says, good night thoughts, put those thoughts to rest. This was so fun, and I'm gonna share a few clips of when he spoke last night. It was so much fun. He's hilarious, of course, you would assume that, and it was just a really good time. So here are some clips from last night at the St. Louis County Library, hosted by the Novel Neighbor, and Max Greenfield is the author.
And someone reached out to me during that time, an agent of mine, and he says, hey, Max, I love these videos that you're doing with your daughter. I was like, oh, thanks. And he said, do you think maybe this is a book? I go, a real book? And he said, no. And I said, good, I'm glad we're on the same page. But that was very quick. You could have waited a little bit. But he said, what if it was a picture book? And I said, well, almost immediately I was like, look, if I was going to do a picture book, it would be called, I Don't Want to Read This Book, and there'll be all the reasons why a child doesn't want to read the book, and at the end of that book, they will have read a book. And he went, this is a really good idea, can I take it out? I go for it. And then later that day, I remember I was making dinner for my kids, and I go, that was a really good idea. It's a shame nobody will ever make that book. And I'm certainly not going to do it. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, he goes, Penguin bought it. And I go, you've got to be kidding. And then I started writing this book, and I realized it not only was my experience as a parent with a daughter who was a reluctant reader, because that was my experience every night. I would go into her room and I would look at all these wonderful books that we had on the shelf, and I would say, which one would you like to read? What about this one? No. What about this one? I don't want to read that one. What about this one? Too long. And then we would go through it, and I'd be like this. After a half hour, I go, well, it's time to go to bed, and all we've done is argue over all the books that you don't want to read. And so I started to write the book. I realized that it not only was my experience as a parent, but it was my experience growing up as a reluctant reader myself. Reading was not something that came easy to me. And then I started really digesting a lot of this experience that I had earlier on in my life about how teachers and librarians, I was like, they just expect you to read like it's breathing. This is a real skill, like playing guitar, and I can't do that either. That book this morning in the schools, and the first one, I don't want to read this book. This is where it goes with me. I'm so sorry. It's just that I'm passionate about the book. But we read I Don't Want to Read This Book in school, in 2 schools this morning. We read them in 2 schools in Chicago, which again is a great city. But we read the book in Chicago, and to read that book in a classroom, and to watch teachers now, and this is 4, maybe 5, 4 years later, and all the teachers know the book, and all the kids kind of know the book because the teachers have read them the book, and to see the experience that they've had with that, and breaking down and how it addresses words and sentences and paragraphs. It has been such an incredibly rewarding experience. And to see, look, I don't think the book is like closing the literacy gap in America. But it is adding to the conversation and giving another tool to a teacher and to a librarian, to anyone in a school who is doing what the goal is, which is to try to embrace reading, to try to get these kids reading in any way that they can.
Now they had this photo line afterward and we had to do it really quick, which was great. I mean, there were hundreds of people there, but they were really quick. And I wanted to do something cheesy for the picture. So I was like, let's do something cheesy. Let's do this. And he was like, okay. So we did this, and that picture's right here. If you ever get a chance to go hear him speak, I highly recommend taking that opportunity. It's so fun to live in this world with all of these different kinds of people who create different things, and I was encouraged just to keep creating things. Whether anything comes of it or not, it's so fun to create and to share it with the world. So thank you, Max Greenfield, for sharing this book with us, for writing it, and then for the illustrator James Serafino, who did amazing illustrations. So Christmas is coming. I know it seems like it's not, but it is. And so I do think this would be a great Christmas gift for any of the little kids in your life or adults who struggle with this, which I don't know many people that don't struggle with putting their thoughts to bed. So I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.